what are the duties of an employer. We have dealt with the primary definitions which are important to you. We are going to now deal with employer ka duties kya hai. Okay, so a complaint mechanism must be formed by the employer's organization for redressal of complaints by the victims. When we read the title of the entire act, we said that this is a redressal forum: prevention, prohibition, and redressal. So number one duty of the employer is that you give a redressal mechanism for your organization for victims of sexual harassment. All right. Secondly, a complaint committee would be headed by a woman, and not less than half of the members should be women. It is suggested under the act that you have a woman who is heading the complaints committee and half of the members are women. This is just to bring equality gender wise and to create a perspective amongst the entire committee about what the incident could have been, and to gain a better understanding through both the genders. It does not say that it has to be an all women committee. It says that at least half of the women should be women here. Members should be women here. All right. Next is the employers are liable to send annual reports of the complaint committee to the government department. This is also very important, that in case you have any complaints which are running in your organization, it is your duty that you send reports of that to the government department responsible in your undertaking or sector, so that there is a statistics maintained. Then the employer should take steps to create awareness about sexual harassment by prominently displaying the guidelines. You must have seen in an that there are display boards, there are emails running through where these kind of awareness is brought about in employees, that what would amount to sexual harassment, how not to talk to a particular woman, what not to address to a particular woman, how not to advance towards particular women. You have to take steps to create awareness. Employee sensitization programs are also conducted. You might have seen people who are managers here must have conducted these as well. So these are also a very primary duty of the employer. And the person in charge should take reasonable steps to assist the victim in case of harassment. Now, if harassment has happened, it is the employer's duty definitely that you take necessary steps to assist the victim. Necessary steps is not defined here कि ये ही करना चाहिए या वो ही करना चाहिए. It is whatever is reasonable in that very situation. I have a question from Sharmishta, that what is the government department? Now it is the state department which has been formed through your organization in that very sector. Now if you're a centrally affiliated organization, it has to be the central government's organization or department. As on now, I'm not sure how many have been implemented yet and how many departments are there, because there has been a definite slag in the government sector to implement these. But there are a few, and if you're a state affiliated or a local authority affiliated organization, it has to be that particular government department. All right. Next slide, please. Continuing the duties of an employer. Now, it is also the duty of an employer to prevent or deter sexual harassment. Welcome, Sharmishta. Very, very primary and pertinent duty of an employer is to prevent sexual harassment. That is a very intention. ये act आया है ताकि हम prevention कर पाए. At the first instance, if everything is prevented, nothing goes forward. There does not have to be a victim of any such heinous crime, and redressal then would not take place because the crime ही नहीं हुआ है. It is defined sexual harassment to include quid pro quo and hostile environment in sexual harassment. Now, this is something that we will discuss at a later part of the chapter, so we can skip it. The employer shall initiate criminal proceeding against the accused if the act constitutes a violation of the provisions of IPC. Now, this is something where I would like to detail upon that apart from the POSH Act that is there, the Prevention of Sexual Harassment Act is there, 2013, there is Indian Penal Code as well. This is running parallelly. It is not overlapping in nature, and it does not mean that if a case in ICC is going on, if you have complained of sexual harassment to your employer, and if a complaint has been given to the ICC, it does not mean that you cannot file a complaint under the IPC. Now, let's just say an example that physical advances have been made and the woman has been, victimized to a very bad situation. If something like this happens and it constitutes to be an offense under the Indian Penal Code, you can definitely have two parallel proceedings. Overlapping nahi hai inka nature. IPC में जो भी provisions में अगर बैठ रहा है, तो you can and you should as an employer initiate proceedings under that as well, initiating with the FIR and so on. The victim of sexual harassment can seek her transfer or transfer of preparator as an interim relief. Now, this happens in many cases. You might have seen practically that whenever such incident is reported of, you can temporarily seek that the person who is accused, or in fact the victim, either or, if there is a situation, that they be transferred, because it is very, very difficult for the victim to be subjected to the physical presence of that accused in the same environment. You have to go to office every day, you have to see that person's face, and there is a proceeding already going on. So it is very difficult for the victim, to be subjected to such kind of an environment. She can seek transfer or the transfer of the preparator just as a temporary measure. And disciplinary actions should be taken against the preparator as per the applicable service rule. Definitely a proper disciplinary proceedings is held. As we go on about the subject, we will understand how the disciplinary proceedings are conducted, what the ICC is, how the memo is prepared, and everything else. So you have to give him a chance to explain himself also, conduct actions which are applicable as per the service rules, and then go forward and take any decision. Next slide.